The New York Islanders against the Boston Bruins in New York. On the surface, just another matchup in the endless turnstile that is the NHL season. But for the McGuigan family, this game couldn't have more meaning. They traveled 1,200 kilometers to be here, because for them, this is a memorial. The McGuigans live outside Charlottetown. Caden, like most 7-year-olds, wants to be an NHLer himself someday. His sister Abby is 9 and into soccer. 3-year-old Matea, her thing is dancing. Inside the family home, their mother Kim takes care of little baby Kenzie. This is Dad, Brendan McGuigan. He drove the local snowplow and was a devoted father.
He'd come up the stairs every night and he'd say, "Where's my bear hug?" And Tate'd come running and she'd give him a great big hug, and he'd go look for Kate and look for Ab, and he asked them about their day. And usually every evening he found some time to take them and go on the four-wheeler or take them outside and do something with them, just that he didn't miss the whole day with them.
One night last August, after he tucked in his kids, Brendan McGuigan went down the road to say goodnight to his own dad. They were best friends.
And I'll never forget, he stopped at the door and he turned around and he said, "I'll be back in a few minutes, Big Mama." And I said, "All right." And he shut the door, and it's the last time.
Minutes later, Brendan and Brent McGuigan were killed in a senseless murder that is still before the courts. What's been life like since?
It sucks. Every day, people tell me that days will get easier. They don't. They get harder. Because the first few weeks we got by with, the first few days we got by with having to plan what was going to happen next and how was I going to get the kids through it. And I did that. And then we got through with how are we going to live here? Because I can't live in our house anymore. I hear him come up the stairs, I hear him come home from work. You know, I can see him sitting in his chair, it's just lonely and it's empty.
Kim's words echo in the basement, where on many nights after dinner, Caden and his dad worked on their shots. What's the hardest part about not having your dad around?
Well, I'm the only boy in the house, and I've no one to play hockey with.
I remember the first night Caden went back on the ice after it happened. I took him. Hard for both of us to go to the rink without Brennan. But I was trying to be positive. I'm like, "Okay, you're gonna have your first game." And I put the jersey on him and stuff, and he was all excited, and he went out on the ice, and I started to walk up to the stands, and I turned around and he was coming off the ice. And I went down and I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Mommy, I don't know if I can play." And I said, "Well, why?" I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "Because what if I don't score? Will Daddy be mad at me?" And I said, "Kate, he's never going to be mad at you. He loves you more than anything in the world." And I said, "Do you remember what Mommy told you? He's standing right underneath that scoreboard. And every time you score," I said, "you look up, and if you don't score, he's still proud of you." And he turned around to walk towards the ice, and he turned back, and he goes, "Mom, I wish he was an angel I could see." And I said, "So do I, bud. So do I."
For a family where hockey's always been such a big part of their lives, it makes sense that the game would be part of their healing.
Hamonic with a shot, and he scores!
A world away in the glitz and glamour of the NHL, New York Islander defenseman Travis Hamonic, from the tiny town of St. Malo, Manitoba, understands what the McGuigans are going through.
He lost his father when he was 10 years of age. He had a massive heart attack.
Travis's final memory of his father was holding his hand as the paramedics rushed him away. Ever since, before every hockey game he's ever played, Travis looks for his dad.
Up in the left corner is where he's always posted watching, and now I always ask God if he can just let my dad watch, and I look up to the left corner of the rink, and for me that's just something that comforts me before the game, and my one last prayer, and I know that God's letting him watch down.
Travis made it all the way to the NHL, but his grief still burns. The best way he's found to deal with it is to help others. So at every Islander home game, he invites a kid whose parent has died to be his guest. What do you hope they get that you never had?
I guess just the comfort of knowing that somebody else has been through it. And, you know, I never had that growing up where going, oh man, you know, like this is a tough day and why did this happen to me? But I've been able to speak to somebody else about it and their troubles and realize that they've been through it as well.
In P.E.I, the local university hockey team, the P.E.I Panthers, found out about Hamonic's program. They got the McGuigans an invitation to meet Travis, and the local community raised enough money to send the family to New York. A mom and 4 kids in New York? Good thing Kim brought along Uncle Kevin to help out. Standing here, what do you hope the family gets out of it?
I hope they have a little bit of time to get away from everything and have fun and smile and laugh. Because I haven't seen so much of that in the last 5 months. It's for them to be kids again and not worry about stuff. And here they're letting go and they're not worrying.
If there's a place on earth that can help you forget, even for an hour, it's Times Square. But the McGuigan family's trip to New York is so much more than a distraction. You see, Brendan McGuigan loved the New York Islanders almost as much as his own family.
It wouldn't be anything to drive into our place and he'd be in the living room dressed from head to toe in Islander gear. He'd have his hat on, his jersey on, he had a bib that he'd put on the kids and he had little jerseys he'd put on them and he'd stand in front of the TV and he'd actually coach. So we'd all tell him the coach couldn't hear, but he'd talk as if they could hear. And he'd tell what player to pass and where to shoot and what to do. And the kids would make fun of him saying, Dad, they can't hear you. But he'd still do it.
So when the family arrives at the rink to see the Islanders play, they fulfill one of their father's dreams.
I know he's here with us tonight. He's with all of them. Yep. No doubt he's here.
For the McGuigans, the game becomes a surprising celebration of their dad. And that Travis Hamonic, the Islanders' star defenseman, understands what they're going through is almost magical. The game ends. It's finally time for the family to meet Travis.
Daddy would be excited because the Islanders win.
Taya told me in the middle of the game that, didn't ya? When they scored, he would be really excited. I know. You were his biggest cheerleader too, you too.
And then the meeting the McGuigan family traveled 1,200 kilometers for.
Hey, man. Hey, you this morning. You got our gear on? I like it. You guys have fun?
Yeah.
You want to come check out the dressing room?
Yeah, we'd love to.
All right, follow me.
As is the case with all the meetings between Travis and the families he helps, it's private.
Got everybody?
Yeah.
There we go.
Look at this, guys. And he brought them in the dressing room, and I remember Kate just looking around the dressing room thinking, oh my God, like he's heard his dad talk so much about these guys. And we could look around the room and see all their names and their gloves and their hockey gear. And he actually got to put Travis's gloves on and to feel what it's like to stand in there.
We just have an opportunity to talk about my grief, their grief, what they're going through, what I've been through. Quite frankly, selfishly, it makes me feel good as well because inside every kid I meet, there's still the little boy inside of me that needs to get it out, needs to speak about it, and so each visit I have, it's heartwarming and it's therapeutic for me.
Let's get a
Make a
picture.
big difference, Travis. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
appreciate
Okay,
it. Yeah,
take care.
take
We'll
care.
be watching you on
Have a safe flight
TV.
home.
Okay.
See you guys.
Say bye.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
Okay, you wanna go? Let's go sledding.
After their 2-day whirlwind in New York, the McGuigans are back to the snow and the hard work of moving on without their dad. Did meeting Travis help?
He got to their level and talked to them as if they were the most important people he'd ever met. He talked about feelings that he had and how he felt and how he understands how they're feeling. They needed to hear that it's okay to feel the way they feel, and that someday there is something good that can happen, and you know, life can be bright again. I think they left there thinking that things can be okay.
It's never going to be easy. But if the trip to New York showed the McGuigans anything, it's that they're not alone. And that glimmer of hope might be just what they need. Nick Purdon, CBC News, Charlottetown.